It is May 21st, and I am here with JP, who recently returned from England. So welcome, JP, to Exopolitics Today.
How you doing, Doc? I'm happy to be here to bring you this information. It's an amazing ride, and it's quite hard doing it without you, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, well, I would love to be on the road with you, but my health is an issue, and I can't go onto planes at the moment just because of the microbes, the risk to that. I just got off some antibiotics anyway, but I do look forward to hearing about what you experienced. And I know there was a little bit of a drama over your ID getting lost or being taken before you got
Yeah.
to England.
When
So
I
you can
went,
tell us about that. Sets the scene for what's to come.
so when I went to the UK and I went to Atlanta, I left my wallet inside one of those back pockets, right, of the seats, and I was about to miss my flight. So we landed. I was about to miss my flight. So the person that was sitting next to us, she told me that she was part of, like, we were talking, and then she was just making fun, saying that she was a spy or something like that. And really, really, when people say it, that's what they really are. So my wife opened her eyes like this, and I opened my eyes like this, and I'm like, okay, this is quite weird that we're sitting next to a person that keeps saying that she's like a spy. She kept playing like spy games and all that, like really telling us, hey, I'm here and we're watching you, just so boom. So we got there late, so we had to leave fast. So when I got on the train, I looked in my pockets and I was missing my wallet. So I had to grab the train back. So we went to A, B, C. I left my wife in C, and she kept going to F, because F is international, going to like Europe. So on the B train, I had to get off and go back to A and go back to the plane. And that was like, it took like 10 minutes. When I went back to the plane was gone. And I go to the person that's in charge, and I say, hey, the plane wasn't even cleaned. Where's my wallet? Like, I left my wallet in the back seat. She's like, oh, okay, let me call. So she called, and the cleaning crew told her that my wallet was lost. So all I had was my passport. So I was like, how am I going to go to the UK with my information, my wallet? And then it clicked to me that really, really, that they're protecting my identity. So I left it as it is.
So you basically didn't have any proof that you were former military.
No proof that I was former military. Just my passport. And I have two passports. I got my official passport, and I got my regular passport. And then I even left my official one home, and I went with my regular passport. So they were really making sure that they didn't know I was military, because I had all my IDs there with my other IDs, my occupational IDs of NASA and all that. So I'm quite sad I lost all my IDs, but it made me go back. When I came back, I had a beautiful experience in the UK, Doc. It was we summoned a UFO, so that's good.
Yeah, that's right. You had the sky watching event, and so you led that. So, and I thought it was, from what I saw, was very successful.
Yeah, it was successful. 2,050 people saw it. It's all in the articles of Eastbourne. So I told everybody, I'll send you the video. I don't know if you already saw it, but I think I sent you a video. I told everybody I felt like a sensation, and I was playing this Ireland drum in a certain rhythm to bring them down, because everything is frequency. And
yeah, I know I've done this before with many other contactees, and they often use music and chanting to kind of like raise the consciousness of the crowd, and that is a kind of magnet for the ET. So it seems that you did the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, and we were saying Akuria Mate, heaven to earth, and I had like a sensation. Um, I was I was telling Donnie, I said, "Hey, um, it's gonna come. They're coming, like right now." She's like, "Wait, but we have to." I said, "No, they're gonna come. They're gonna show up." So I told them, "Hey, everybody, go to the beach." Like 1,500, 2,000 people started going to the beach area of Eastbourne, and I kept playing Akuria Mate, and everybody Akuria Mate, Akuria Mate, Akuria Mate. So, and then we saw this light in the distance coming in, really small, like blink and all that, and it kept getting bigger. And I ran to the guy that was recording. I said, "Hey, make sure you get that light right there that's coming into the beach." He's like, "Okay, okay." But we're really vigilant because you could tell the difference from the plane and the steady light that was coming in. So this light was coming in, and it got so big that everybody was astonished. Everybody started recording it, and I told them, "Akuria Mate," and everybody, "Akuria Mate." I was walking up and down, and everybody was asking me, "Who are you? Who are you? What is this? What's happening?" And I actually asked the news guy. There was people from the news there that had their white vans with the cameras, and I said, "Hey, can I get on your van?" And they're like, they saw me with a mask. They're like, "Oh no." They're like, "No, no, no." So there's a lot of people that wasn't part of the event that went to that event. So that was quite well that they came up to me and says, "Hey, we heard that you're summoning UFOs and we want to be here. Is it okay?" So yeah, just enjoy and be part of the event. So there was more people than how many people went to the event. So that was great. So that light went close and the light just disappeared. And everybody went like, "Oh, oh, wow." So that was a beautiful that they showed up. It was a beautiful ship and everybody saw it. So, and
Wonderful.
we
Well,
kept chanting and
well, for those that need reminding, I mean, JP first had contact experiences in 2008 in Brazil, and has been meeting with these Nordic-looking extraterrestrials ever since then, and of course joined the military, the US military, in January 2020 up until August 2024. And so, and throughout that, he also had encounters with the Nordics. So he's had a long relationship with these Nordic-looking extraterrestrials, and so, and I think, I mean, this is part of the reason that you have so many photos. I mean, you have photos from 2017, 18, showing the
mhm.
Nordic ships, that landed near you, and you talked to the occupant, and they then flew off, but you were able to take photos of the ships. So yeah, so you've had this long connection. So it was great that you were able to summon the ships for that Eastbourne, England event.
Yeah, yeah. I was quite worried, but when I felt the energy, I said it's gonna happen. So I really appreciate them showing up and showing themselves and all that. There
Perfect.
was in the beginning a blockage for the military part of the UK, blocking the ships not to come in, but they still, with the technology that they have, they still made it and showed themselves off the shore, and they just disappeared in front of everybody. So that was awesome.
Great. Okay, so now, take us through what happened when you got back to the US and you went to Eglin Air Force Base to get replacement IDs.
So I'm driving, I'm gonna have my passport only, and I'm like, wow, man, I hope I don't get pulled over. Because right now with the law and all that, you need to have multiple IDs and all that. So like, man, if they pull me over, they're gonna send me to Panama or somewhere else. So I drove to the base, and I totally forgot I had my ID. I went through the base, and it's like, hey, stop, you're not supposed to go in. don't have an ID. I was like, oh crap. So they made me turn around, go to the front office of the military base, and I was waiting in line, and I told the lady, "Hey, I need to go in to replace my ID, and they're not letting me in. How can I go about from that?" She's like, "Oh, do you have your passport?" I said, "Yeah, I have my passport with me." "Oh, okay, give me your passport." So she took my passport. She was on the computer. She looked up my name, and her eyes went like this. She's like, "Wait here, sir." And I'm like, "Oh man, oh geez." So I was like looking at everybody in the office, and her reaction was like, who is this guy? I don't know what popped up in the computer, but she was like, ugh. So she called somebody, and I was waiting like 5 minutes, and this guy showed up, a really nice uniform, Air Force, and he looked at me, and he opened his eyes like, and nodded his head, and he's like, "Yeah, come with me. Leave your car here, and just come with me." And I'm like, "Okay, so let's go. Let's."
What rank was he?
I didn't see no rank. He had like one of those jumpsuits.
Okay.
It was a nice uniform, but it was like a jumpsuit uniform, like if he was like a jet pilot or something like that. A pilot, regular pilot. I'm sure he's a high ranking officer.
Right.
So he took me to the back, drove me to a building. I went inside the building. I had to leave my glasses. I had to leave my even my watch. I had to leave in the front. I had to take off my shoes,
Cell phone as well.
cell phone. Um, I left everything. The machine you go through, it sees everything. So they took us to this room, and this room was like a 200 screen room, like a big ass TV, like huge.
Like a 200-inch television monitor. Is that what you saw?
It was like a one of those yeah. It was a huge TV. It was huge, and we had it was like an auditorium type, and everybody was sitting, and he even pointed to the seat where I was like a third row up from the TV.
And how many people approximately were there?
There was about like 80 people there. So like I was trying to count by tens, and I counted like around like 82, 83 around there. And then but it was split. Like one side was full of people like Nordics. They all had blonde hair, crew cuts, and I was looking at them, and they all looked at me. I'm like, what's going on?
So these Nordics that you saw there sitting, they had crew cuts and they were wearing uniforms, right? I mean, so it sounds very similar to a couple of the encounters you had
Yeah,
where you saw these Nordics with crew cuts in Air Force uniforms with distinctive patches, and that you saw one of them offered to take you on a ride in the flying saucer.
oh my God. It's amazing. It's amazing. The things that are happening right now. This closure is like around the corner, Doc.
Okay, so this is the image that you wanted to show me, and it's a, I guess, illustration of the Nordic that you saw when you were living in Orlando, and that Nordic landed, talked to you, offered for you to go for a ride, and you declined. And when the Nordic was wearing an Air Force uniform, distinct patch, and all of that. And then when he got back in the flying saucer craft, it flew off, and then you took photos of the departing craft. So that's what people see in that image. It shows the craft and an illustration of the Nordic. So the craft is a real photo. The Nordic itself is something that you, I guess, recreated with AI or yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine did that for me. Um,
Awesome.
So when I saw everybody, right, like sitting down, everybody sitting down, and the screen showed up with the map. It looks similar to this, like but
Oh,
square.
before you go to the screen, JP, so on the one side, there were these Nordics in these particular distinct uniforms, crew cut and all of that. And on the other side, who was on the other side where you had to sit?
Oh, it was a mixture of military personnel. You can see different types of uniforms. Everybody had uniforms. Everybody was like well dressed. You know, I was like six out of everybody that had, you know, a civilian clothes. So I had some jeans with a t-shirt with one of these black. So it was it was like always, weird, but it was kind of cool. It was there. So one side military, and then all like everybody on the other side of the auditorium was like dressed like in blue, looking like that dude, but with blonde hair. And I saw a couple females as well, dressed up in the same uniform and all that. But you could tell they were different because they were all sitting the same way. They were all like straightforward. Us, we were just like talking to each other and all that. They weren't even talking to each other. They was just ready for the information to come up.
Okay.
So the screen, it showed like a map similar to what's back here, but it squared out. And you can see the map of Antarctica without the ice. So you can really see the structure of Antarctica with the little islands and all that. It looked quite different. And it had a little heat sensor spots that you could see in this map. And then the guy came up, he was like, listen here. I want all you guys to understand that the Pacific is getting activated. And then everybody started like talking amongst themselves, even the Nordics. Oh, yeah, oh my God, what's happening? So in the Pacific, the Pacific arc is warming up so much. Uh, they think somebody put like something around it to activate it even faster, but they don't know who because there's this technology, this device technology. It's like not like a force field, but anybody that tries to go in the vicinity of that arc, it bounces off. So I think it's like a type of electromagnetic technology that pulses out stuff, or maybe it's the arc itself. I'm not sure, but they're saying that somebody's controlling that arc in a different way that is activating and getting really, really hot and
Okay.
activating the surroundings.
Now, before you continue, maybe it's worth just reminding people, especially those that are still new to the information, that you've gone inside of some of these space arcs. You've been inside the space arc in the Atlantic Ocean, one on the moon, and you've also been briefed about different space arcs around the planet. And you also were told about a space arc in the Pacific Ocean, somewhere in the Sea of Japan, or what was called the Dragon's Triangle, I believe.
The Devil's Triangle.
The Devil's Triangle. Okay, so this is where, so the Pacific Arc, which is like an ovoid, egg-shaped, very, very large craft that can like have many thousands of people in there and be an arc. So that is somewhere in that Devil's Triangle, and
So a little bit of information on that. You know how the Atlantic space arc moved a little bit? So that one moved more into the center of the Pacific, more southeast from Hawaii. So it went like under Hawaii and now moving to the south, like in the middle, in between Hawaii and the United States. So more down in that area. So it moved quite a bit.
Okay, so you're saying that it's going to move more towards, I think Guam is halfway between Hawaii and Japan, the Devil's Triangle. So it's kind of in that area.
It moved more now in between Hawaii and California.
Also, okay, so the Pacific Arc has been moving, and now so it's east of Hawaii or west of Hawaii?
East.
East, so closer to the west coast of the United States, or between Hawaii and the west coast of the United States. So it's somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it moved under Hawaii and it moved to the right part of Hawaii right now.
Okay. Well, when you say it moved under Hawaii, I guess you're talking about it moved, I guess, kind of like in the water between the Hawaiian Islands, because they're all volcanoes coming from the bottom of the Pacific.
So this is Hawaii, right? This is like the Devil's Triangle right here in between Japan, Hawaii, and I'm thinking Guam is down here. So it moved like in a U shape under Hawaii. Now is in between Hawaii and the United States.
Okay. So you were given a briefing that the
Yeah,
Pacific Space
like in
Arc.
the map, in the TV, you can see all that it moved. Like in the red line, you can see like all that it moved. Like it follows it like a hurricane, like similar to a hurricane. So they're following these arcs. The Atlantic arc moves south. You can clearly see like a straight line going towards like not Florida, but Bermuda, heading out more and heading like towards Florida. And then this one is heading more towards like the United States. It made a U. It went down and it made a U, and now it's in between Hawaii and California around there. So same distance.
Are they the only two space arcs that are located under oceans, and all the other space arcs are located in land areas?
Well, there's one smaller space arc that is located like under the Atlantic, but they're calling it like a type of Vimana or a type of scout ship. There's another smaller ship next to the city where I went that had the pyramids, but I think that's part of the civilization that lives there, just in case that freaking city goes to shit or something like that. So it's their like
Okay.
emergency ship that takes off, and then we
Now,
have the
in terms of that city that you went to, for people that want to know more about that, are you referring to that island in the South Pacific that wasn't not that's not on any map, and you went there, and then you went underground, and there was this enormous spaceport with pyramids and all of that? Is that what you're talking about?
no, I'm talking about the Atlantic area,
Hmm.
the city I visited right off the coast from
Oh, I
Bermuda.
see. I see. Okay, the domes, like you saw three
Yeah,
domes. Okay,
the
so
dome.
you were taken there. There were three domes, and inside each dome was like a city. Yep.
And then
Yeah,
you got the one from Olechki Sands. You got that one that is under the sand. You got one in the United States under that sand. You got the one in Brazil also in Goiás, south from Goiás. Um, and then the other ones are the smaller ones that I think are going to be the probably the scouts, the ones that come up first that everybody sees.
Mhm. So this map that you were looking at on the wall screen, it showed the space arcs, all the space arcs?
It showed space arcs. It showed like other miscellaneous ships that are like scattered. You can see the points. There were points all over the maps, and they were like color coded. So the space arcs were red, and you could clearly see them like blinking, like pulsating with heat signatures. So I think this was a live type of satellite that could see, like, there's a lot of satellites that record a 3D image of the whole world that are going around the world at once. So I don't know if you're familiar with 3D imaging, but it turns everything flat. So these satellites are going around Earth, capturing pictures of everything, and they can see everything at once in the screen. And you can see the screen, the maps is moving like this, like if the satellites is going around the Earth. So it's a cool tactic of how to check everything at once with the satellites.
Okay, so you're being briefed by this officer, and he's saying that the Pacific space arc is heating up, and
It is like massively heating up, like it's dangerously to the water, dangerously to life that is living around the the space arc. So it's getting really dangerous, like starting to boil the ocean, and it's really dangerous. So they don't know if it's the arc itself, but they have an idea that it's somebody else trying to activate it, probably the black hats, in order to cause harm to the arc, to destroy it. I don't know why somebody would want to do that, but they're trying to do that. And that's terrible if that happens.
so what was the briefing officer? What was his goal in kind of like showing you the space arc? Was he talking about this heating up and the dangers associated with it?
Yeah, they're just getting everybody prepared because they're going to send a team over there in order to investigate what's happening or who's causing this. So I think the Nordics, they're going to send a team of their ships and Nordics to go investigate what's happening with this space arc, particularly to figure out why is it heating up the Pacific so much. And they're going to come back with information about what's happening. So that's quite interesting.
Hmm. So is this kind of like a briefing for people that might be involved in the mission? I mean, why were you there?
I visited the arcs already, and I'm part of the information that is coming out with the arcs. By the way I activated the Atlantic arc, it could be a possibility that I can activate the Pacific arc the same way. So by the way some Nordics were looking at me, and I was feeling the room, so it was feeling kind of like a good vibe frequency, and I kept hearing the Nordics talk, but I couldn't see their lips moving. So I think that preparing for a Pacific arc visit
Hmm.
with me involved, and it's kind of like it's matching with the trip also that I'm going to take to Japan. So everything is like lining up, like the dates and all that. So I'm just preparing myself just in case it does happen. I already have the information. There's other information that I cannot share as much right now about the arc, but it looks like like it's going in deep to our Earth, and it's activating certain spots, hot spots on Earth. And if that happens, uh, that's why I don't believe it's the arc itself, or I believe, well, everybody in the room believes that somebody else is controlling this arc, and we need to figure out who is controlling this arc and why they want to do this, and try to destroy this beautiful, magnificent, beautiful structure that can help humanity.
Mhm. Well, you spoke a little bit about you activating the Atlantic space arc. You also, as I recall, uh, activated the space arc on the moon. So, and that's important because uh, we know that the crews of the space arc, of any one space arc, that they are kind of dispersed around the planet, star seeds, sleeping, they're incarnated. And when the space arcs activate, they will start to look for the crews, and presumably somehow the crews will end up on the space arc that they are aligned with. And each space arc is from a particular extraterrestrial civilization that Elena Danaan has identified. I think it was like around 22, or no, 24 space arcs from the 22 Cedar races. So, so presumably then, but you, because you've been able to activate two space arcs, you, yeah, that to me is very curious. So that, I mean, there would be people who can activate one particular space arc because they're from the Altean civilization, or maybe they're from the Hoover civilization, and they can activate that space arc. But you can activate a couple. So I guess there are people who can activate multiple space arcs, and you being one of them.
Yeah, yeah. I think having the frequency, or having the past think lives, or soul, I think has something to do with it, Doc. So I'm just waiting. After they told us this information, I was heading out, and this guy put his like hands around my shoulder, and he was like, "Are you ready, bro?" And he looks at me and starts nodding his head, like, "Are you ready?" And I'm in my head, ready for what? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'm ready. But in my head, I'm like, ready for what? Yeah, I'm ready. Uh, so that gave me a sense that I was going to be part of this mission, of what's happening in the Pacific arc. And for me, I'm excited if it does happen, but I'm not part of the military no more. But if it does happen, I'll gladly help out and activate whatever it needs to be activated if we do get inside the
Right.
arc, or penetrate whatever it is that is protecting that arc. So
Mhm.
it's going to be a wild ride. So I don't know if it's going to happen when I go to Japan or during that area, but right now, as we speak, the 20th, the 21st of May, this arc is really, really active, and it was heating up the Pacific. So we need to keep an eye on the Pacific to see,
Mhm.
how is it going to affect the ocean around and all that.
Mhm. Now, people probably need to be reminded, because well, when you served in the military, you'd get messages saying, show up, turn up to this place, and you do a mission such as going to the space arc, that it was all involuntary. But now that you're retired military, can you explain how it is that you still get to do these missions, but now it's on a voluntary basis?
It's like a voluntary, yes, but a soldier is always a soldier. We we still have to protect what is humanity, and the world in a way. So once you get access to these certain missions, it's like you don't stop. You keep at it. You don't stop. So people that go through these experience, as soldiers, and they have the capability to comprehend what's happening, or visiting these different realms, these different places, like the ant people, or you have already knowledge. Your brain is a quantum computer that sends out frequency to the universe. So it knows, the universe already knows what you went through, and you know how to handle that. Some people I don't think would know how to handle it. I was seeing the faces of people in Eastbourne, and they looked at me like if I was a guru or something, because summoning a UFO for them was like weird. So I had all these people like following me. I felt like weird. I'm like, hey, don't follow me. Just look up to the skies. You are doing this. It's not just me. We're all in this together. So I don't want people to look at me like if I was a savior or something like that. I want them to look at me like if I been through this experience, um, because this is an analogy. A doctor does not become a doctor just out of nowhere. A doctor has to study and goes through experiences in order to become a doctor. So I'm not considering myself a doctor, but maybe I experience more than other people. So I know how to summon. I got different techniques how to deal with extraterrestrials, because I have been going through these experiences a long time. So I just want people to understand that they also have this capability, but they just have to study how their body reacts to that situation, and receive it, instead of like, I don't believe it. Oh, this is not happening. So
Okay.
it's yeah.
So I have a question, because now we're having more whistleblowers who have come forward that have talked about their knowledge and experiences. I mean, you have people like David Grush, Jacob Barber, Jason Sands, and there are more people coming out. And they have military credentials like you. They also have had security clearances. So can you talk about your security clearances? Because people will ask, well, if JP really did all these missions that he claims, surely he had security clearances. So how did that work for you in terms of going on missions and all of that? Was there a particular compartmentalized program that you had to be given access to, or did they just say, hey, JP, show up, go here, and everything's kind of worked out in the background without you having a formal security clearance? You want to explain that?
Everything worked out in the background without me having a formal security clearance, because of my experience when I was a civilian, and the experience I had in Brazil, and the pictures I was taking, and the connection I was having with extraterrestrials prior of being military. The reason I joined the military is because they forced me to join the military in order to use my ability to access different areas that they could not access. So there's people that can access things without them knowing, and they can't explain why. So I guess it's a technique that you use by the way you think also,
Mhm.
and how you see yourself. Or I think it follows, it's like a generational ladder that if the universe follows in order to access certain things. So I think they put me in these programs because of the access I have. Sometimes that's what they do in the intelligence community, or other high end military uh, security clearance. It could be a random person. You could be a mechanic in the military. They take you out. They put you in this room. They make you have a test, and you can have the worst score sometimes, and they still chooses you because but the type of person that you are, your personality really counts a lot. It's not just the smartness, it's the personality that can also activate certain things. I remember when I was in line with the other soldiers and they were summoning, there were some miscellaneous uh, different people there. There's a different soldiers from different MOS summoning UFOs because they developed the technique. They go back and they have a regular clearance. They have a regular clearance, but they have the technique to summon UFOs. So you can enter the military tomorrow if they see you have the potential and they see you have not like a psychic ability, but an ability to connect with these beings. They will put you on these missions. Doesn't matter, and if they have to erase your memory in order for you to forget and keep using you until they retire you, that's what they would do. I wasn't forgetting my experiences. That's why they gave me the green light to talk. Because either way, I was going to tell you, my experience. Because since the beginning, I've been sharing with you my experience. So they know that. They know I've been going through these experiences. So I think that's why they put me on these missions. Okay. And they know I'm talking to you and I'm sharing this to the world, So now it's the world, Doc. Now this is going mainstream. So I'm not like a David Grush or something like that because I haven't got the green light to do it. But maybe when I take off my mask, it's going to be a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when we're talking about people like David Grush or others like Jason,
David Grush had the opportunity to have a mask. They asked him. They asked David Grush, "Hey, you sure you want to show your face?" He's like, "Yes, I want to show my face. I don't give a crap what people think about me." And your face carries a frequency. There's technology out there that can, like really can use your face in order to do harm. So.
Okay, but what I wanted to kind of distinguish, because people will ask, because Jacob Barber, Jason Sands, David Grush, they all had security clearances for the programs that they were read into and were involved in. Now, in your case, which is similar, I think, to another whistleblower, Clifford Stone, who was involved in crash retrieval programs, that you guys were chosen because of your unique abilities to be able to interact with ET craft and ET beings, but you're given a kind of cover identity. So in your case, you had a military occupation specialty as a chemical equipment repairer. That was your job, but when they needed you for a specific mission, they would just take you away. So you're essentially like on TDY, or you're just being reassigned for a brief period. Yeah. And you go and do the mission, but you're not given a security clearance for that. And that's why you don't have like a security clearance like top secret STS.
Well, I do have
SCI. That's right. TS SCI for these particular missions, because that was not your permanent assignment. You're just temporarily brought in. You do the mission, and then you're taken back to your kind of like permanent.
Well, I got a clearance, but I'll share that with you after I do have a clearance.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Maybe that's something we can discuss. All right. So, anything more you want to say about this particular experience at Eglin?
Like I said before, we have said this in the past, Doc, about people showing up and military people coming out from the woodworks, to share this information. We've been saying this for years, and I kept saying, hey, these guys are going to come out and they're going to start talking and they're going to start bringing this information out. We can look for videos 3 or 4 or 5 years of us talking about that and saying that these military guys are going to start coming out and bringing this information. And we were the first ones saying that about these guys coming out. And I'm really happy that this is all registered about my missions, about the pictures, about how much information we have for years since 2008. Because people are going to look at that when we really come out. Well, we're already out, I'm already showing my eyes for the first time in your show, So soon this will be coming off, I don't know exact date. They're still holding on the dates on that. So we'll probably do a webinar or something together in order to make that happen, or make it a big event somewhere.
Okay, so you're still waiting for the green light to just unmask yourself, and then we can do a webinar or some other event to kind of like fully reveal all your face, your full identity, your military credentials without being redacted, apart from maybe social security number and all of that.
Yeah. So it was looking good for this year for me to do it, but something is happening in the air that we have to be vigilant of what's happening. And an evil, they do exist, evilness. So we just have to be vigilant and stick together and make sure this truth comes out and help humanity, so.
Well, you've been doing great work in helping educate humanity, preparing them for the extent of, what's really out there. I think you are unique just because you've been exposed to so many different programs, and you're preparing people for the full extent of what's really out there. So I think you've done an awesome job, JP, and it's been an honor working with you.
Oh, it's always an honor working with you, Doc. I think you bring a lot to the table, and that's amazing. I really appreciate you and everything that you're doing. I know we're getting affected health-wise, but we got to keep on rolling and bringing this information out to the public, because the public needs to know what's really happening behind the wood lines. Going to be exciting times, and they're showing themselves, and we just need to accept that they're here. It's not that they're showing themselves anymore; they're here, interacting with everybody. So,
well, thank you, JP, and Akuria Mate.
Akuria Mate. I love you guys, and JP out.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.